Good morning. Welcome back. We've opened green again, right where we were looking for. It was out of the two options we were looking at for opening right on the trend line, pretty close to it, to where we closed, giving us this chance to possibly uh, create an interesting open where we go bid right through this trend line, right between really. It's almost like a gray zone in here. We move through these again. You have sort of this channel in here and a channel through here. And in between here is this very small area that we could clear very quickly. It's about 0.5% between, and so it's going to be about 70 basis points total that would need to clear that. Price moves pretty quick through there, so if we do go ahead and break that resistance from the open, then you're probably going to put points on pretty damn quick. Now, we've seen that growth is doing a lot better right now. And so this is one of those dynamics where if mega caps do well, the average will do well, everything will climb. But it is a situation where everything is climbing together. And so continue to push everything up. Things look very good. If we just take a look at the overall, NASDAQ's up almost 0.5%. S&P's following. Europe's doing very well. Asia did very well. The bond market's hanging out, not doing anything. And so that with the dollar continue to push down, commodities are basically hanging out. Bitcoin is still showing a ton of volatility from last night. Obviously, from the drop before, it then went bid, came back down. That's a non-factor, but everything else in terms of markets looking very good for us to really put the points on here. When we look, some good pre-market action in terms of what we were looking for. And I say good as in we were looking for some moves to start to happen here, and again, we'd have to start to question whether or not we have the sort of right mindset on some of these things. A lot of pre-market action right now is towards the semiconductor side, which, I mean, again, it's a make or break sort of situation down here, and the prices are coming back up, and so we've now turned really a bearish looking downwards move into possibly coming off the low and just a normal sort of swing that we've seen in the past. It's still not clear why we've sold so much, but returning in pricing in such a quick way sort of removes some of those negative factors, and this is definitely nice. It's definitely nice to see that UMC, for instance, up over 5.5%. You have things like TSM up, all of the U.S. companies up as well. And this is also coming off of China doing very well. You see things like BDUJD up very, very much this morning. And I posted the PDD chart for yesterday. That's up 1.5%. These are, again, I'm not going to get too sort of hype on the China move this time because, again, there's just so much going on over there in terms of regulation, and it's just impossible to know the timing, right? No one knows the real timing on any of these things when things could come out, but they're definitely, I mean, they offer a ton. They offer a ton of potential, at least. Potential energy's there. And I've talked about this, a month ago or so, that this is really the trade that if you are able to catch this, you're talking about, a significant gain, because not only are you talking about on the underlying a significant amount of points back up to the high, which in a lot of cases is over 50% from the low right now, and that's only over about 3 months or so of down, a downwards move. You're looking then at the option side that no one is really trying to take a stab at it because, again, you have China regulation looming over everything, and it's not something to really, wet your beak on when you're in a non-risk sort of, not that the market's not being risky, but you're in this value-centric sort of area, and going to China is going even further than just buying mega caps and growth. Here in our exchanges, you're going real deep if you're buying this type of stuff. In terms of risk, I think is definitely worth putting on some of these again, as we see the breakouts are happening. Some of them looking better than others. Again, when you look at like Baba, it's just, I mean, this is terrible down here. But again, we have to take a look at all of them, and you definitely have some moves that are better than others that set up some swings, and earnings have been pretty good across the board, and so PDD earnings tomorrow shouldn't be a problem. So I like to go into those anyway. So we'll see how those go. But either way, everything looking very hot off the start of today. Travel is the other big thing here. We've talked about just about every single facet. AAL really being the main part of the airline trade. Doing very well up to start today, almost up 2%. This again is not the easiest trade to hold through, and that's why I kind of emphasized this when it was happening. We took the trade back here, and we pushed this through the weekend. Then we had this pullback here, which again is about 3.5% or so on the underlying. You don't have to hold through this, but there's no way you're going to be able to figure out when the high is here. So you're basically going to be taking profit at the low anyway. Now, that's looking at it in hindsight, but the decision to hold through here, it makes sense when you look at what your potential upside is and what your potential downside is. We have levels right here below us. We didn't end up testing those. And you're in a situation where these prices are still bullish and looking to the upside overall. And so we made sure to hold through this, and you can see now we're now heading back up towards that high. We're not all the way up to the high, the local high here, but this move here is now picking up, and I would consider that a breakout of this very short, week-long consolidation. These kind of candles are going to be coming back in here, and again, we're in a very sort of momentum period, or a momentum period on the short-term volatile stocks, things like semiconductors and travel here, that should really sort of move this out of this area. And when you get going here again, there's a lot of empty space. There's not much going on out here, and so this is where you have your possibility of finally sort of surpassing that high from back in March, and getting out of that this sort of, I don't know, this period of consolidation that is sort of undermined by a lot of short-term volatility. Once you get out of that, we can look at it a little differently, right? Maybe start to look for something a little bit, I would say, longer, and maybe something that we don't need to look at it every single day. You don't have to worry about that trade, right? But definitely nice start there. I'm going to mention over here on the Moderna side as well, some of the debate about whether, again, the IP lifting for vaccines or not is going to negatively affect charts. This is continuing to trend back up. We're back to the high from Friday. Again, some of this does not look great. I don't like when prices look like this unless price is able to then sort of create some sort of bullish candle that tells us that we broke out of this here. Again, that bear flag sort of idea. Not to, again, so assume a pattern before it breaks out or breaks down, but it still needs to be thought of. It's very possible that we're just starting this trend again, right? Now, it doesn't really look like a trend in the same way, but we do have higher lows. It's not so much that I want to get back in here immediately, but again, this is an ongoing discussion in terms of the market's pricing about whether or not the market cares about the IP lifting, if that it's going to be a problem, or we're going to go back to what we were pricing pharmaceutical and bio companies for right before that news came out. So this being up again in the morning, we're getting close to possibly having that debate be over, but we're going to continue to watch that. I think that's definitely something on people's minds still in the market. So there's definitely a lot of people on the back end maybe waiting to get back in, that again are us trend traders swinging through there. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, there's definitely signs of a lot of retail trading getting going. This is specifically on the option side, not only in sort of the meme stocks, even though obviously those are still the go-tos. We definitely see it in mostly tech. They've gone towards the tech side. We saw things like ARK do decent enough yesterday. If you go look at, again, I mentioned things like Net. Those are CrowdStrike, and you look at then the out of the monies on the big tech companies. You can definitely see it. This is going to cause it will cause a little bit of a spike in volatility to whatever direction that's going, which is mostly to the upside, right? And so as we reach those prices that those contracts are in, that's when things may start to, get that gamma idea, that gamma squeeze that pushes through and causes price to move just a little bit quicker. In a lot of charts, what you're really looking for is it's probably up here at these highs. So charts that have the Apple sort of dynamic here, that you're pretty far from your all-time high, but you're starting to catch back up. Looks a little shaky in here, but people have been buying at the low, building up a lot of, again, a big quantity of calls. You're really looking up to this high here that once that price gets reached, and if it gets reached by, again, this June monthly mark, which is where a lot of those contracts are. So by the June monthly date, if you're up in this area, which again it's not the craziest thing to get up there in this amount of time, and again talking about other charts just in general, is that as you approach that, that's when that gamma value starts to get closer and closer to 1, which at that point you're going to have market makers that have written these calls are going to start to hedge those positions by buying the underlying. Again, this then causes that price to move up quicker, causes more calls to be bought, causes momentum, and we get this situation again where you can really put points on quick. There's a lot of charts that are in this spot right now that we've looked at, right? We can easily go through and see them all. Again, it's just the Nasdaq overall. This is, going to be interesting, especially the ones that are not all-time high. I think when you get into all-time high, we've seen we will do a little bit more of a trend move and less of the rally through that would happen with a gamma event. But we've even seen the Dow do this thing where we'll really put points on quickly, but that was coming out of a consolidation. It would be a little different if we just continue to trend and then we start to hit some of those big call heavy sort of price points. It's still something to keep in mind, because the thing is here that with long positions, you're not really getting exposure to any of the underlying move that happens. If you're going to hold it, for a month past that event happens, right? It may add some points. It will. You'll see it then. But by the time you take profit on that position, you're probably not going to really see it. This is where if you think moves are coming, then you need to be betting on that. You bet on the speed of it, right? That's the whole point of using contracts, is that you're not just betting on a price, you're betting on the speed of the market. And this is why we've taken a lot of these trades from the low, right? Is this predetermined idea that, not determined, but we're predetermining that there's going to be some retail doing that, and it's going to cause a more momentum sort of move than maybe just the normal trend, which would take a longer time, which we're already pricing for, right, with our long-term positions. So we're definitely going to keep adding risk when we can, which right now seems like a decent enough time. We've seen that the Nasdaq is definitely coming out of the low very well, and again, it proves the point of buying on the low, and how again, you have to stick with the position. It's not like, well, I've made my points now, time to get out of here. It's very easy to do that and be like, well, it's okay that it kept going up. It's fine to take profit when you have a plan. It's another thing just to take it because you're just kind of making up when the high is. Again, that's not the way things work. You'll see the price change, right? And there's definitely times that we have clear transition points, right? If you took a riskier trade from the low here, then you have pretty clear resistance coming up. You have a big area of local supply. Once price gets up in there, you can see if that's going to either push through with momentum, or if you're maybe you want to take the risk off, right? But if you're going to take the risk, then stick with the risk. It doesn't really make sense to put risk on and then have it work, and then to go, oh, whoa, this is too risky now. You've already cemented your position. You've already gained profit. You're in the money. You have a nice baseline now that you can work with. It's less risky if your position's now up 50% from the low that you bought it at. Because if you're up 50% now on those contracts, you have plenty of room to work with now, right? You're not going to end up losing a ton of that value. And that's where, again, it's the hardest thing is to continue to push a position, push your winnings, but it's the only thing that's really going to make you money, right? Because if you're in and out of positions all the time in this market, you're going to get killed, right? And we've already seen that, which is why we've really slowed down because the market's slowed down. Even though we've seen a lot of volatility in some areas, we've avoided it when we can, right? Or we've taken advantage of it by buying a really long-term positions, not really long-term, but at least 3 months out that allow us to move through the volatility without really getting exposed to it, and just sort of passing by as the volatility happens, right? So uh, it's important that we continue going. I'm going to mention this Amazon chart real quick. Amazon really is the chart that is the most stuck in supply, and again, I'm already in all the mega caps, but it's very possible here that the more I looked at this chart, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, uh, it's very possible that we come out of here pretty quick with sort of the idea with some gamma moves and how there hasn't really the problem with Amazon is that it hasn't really been able to get out of here because the volume is always sort of at a very low point and there's not much momentum created, right? This could change if we have all these bits and pieces coming together at the same time. The market's heading towards the upside. There's not really anything that's coming up that's going to cause sort of volatility, and we have the sort of promise of retail coming back, which again with some gamma properties that could cause momentum. That's also going to help with Amazon. That's one of the biggest problems that you see with Google as well, are that the calls are just a pain in the ass to buy. They're expensive. Retail doesn't really buy them, but they buy really bad calls. And so if everyone is buying really shitty Amazon calls, which the reality is retail cannot, generally afford a large quantity of Amazon calls, but you can buy shitty out of the money ones that basically never are going to get paid. And that's why they're good hedges. But they can be bought and they must be hedged. And if we approach those prices, which again, you have some people up here buying 3,600 Amazon calls somewhere in here that's about 10% out. Well, you get towards, you start to make a move, someone that's going to get hedged through here because again, most of these prices are pointing to the upside, so shit's going to start to get hedged as soon as it starts to trend. We saw it through here as well. It's definitely possible. So we're going to keep an eye on it. It's been the slowest moving mega cap, the slowest moving. Amazon is even slower than Apple. Apple has at least put pretty decent looking moves on once it's swinging from high to low. Amazon is just, it puts so many points on so quickly that you're sort of in this influx, you're stuck. I'm going to keep an eye on this week because, again, you look at the chart, you're wondering, you're definitely wondering because someone like myself would definitely like to be a part of the move. It's got plenty of properties that say it should have upside, and if you add in some of those other big ideas, I think that there's something there. So this is going to be a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit more risk on that, betting on the speed instead of just a long-term position I have, and so we'll keep an eye on that, right? Apple, I'm just sticking with the same trade. Again, these moves should come through. They should definitely come through. We're definitely looking for upside even in the tech market. So definitely looking a little bit better. On the other side of travel, again, is the casino side. There's no pre-market action, so we're going to be watching to see how we do here. We're very close to getting up to the resistance here, which then the question becomes: are we just going to break out through here, push through here? That's what most of travel looks like, is that we're going to get through there, like I showed the AL chart. So keeping an eye on that as well. I posted the PayPal chart last night. The fintech side, again, with Square Inc. as well, included there. It's again, we've already looked at these charts back here, thinking it was going to break out, and it did not. This is definitely a different situation coming out of low. I mentioned these charts yesterday, and we've been talking about them a little bit. I'm going to show Snap as well. Coming out of the low here, it's been very strong. Definitely looks like a break, and it looks like it's going to continue. It's important here that, again, you stick with these positions. You're not going to get devastated randomly here. Again, the price will turn. You will see it, and there's going to be clear signs to get out of here. There's a lot of upside on these charts, right? And these are again bundled in some of those ETFs that will have momentum sort of properties, and so we want to be consistent on these and continue to put the risk on where we can. I'm going to put the Snap chart up as well. We talked about Snap, Twitter, Facebook, the social media side. We've traded them a lot before. You can see a similar angle. I know there's a lot of lines here, but coming out through here, all we've really seen is that we were on a sharper trend and we've mellowed out a little bit. But what actually comes from that is a larger upside potential, just not as fast. But we're going pretty fast right now in terms of the speed coming off the low. The social media side, and we've seen it with Facebook as well. Facebook being a leader, these are moving pretty quick. And again, you look at retail, where are they going to go? This is definitely an area that they come to, or at least come through. So we'll keep an eye on how this goes. And again, there's a lot to put. There's a lot of possibilities out there, and the more opportunities there are, the higher probability that your trade's going to pay off and you're going to profit, right? Again, we're still none of them are absolute. We're still taking risks. We're still betting on speed and price and all those things, and being able to get out of the position in time and actually take the profit. But a lot right now uh, is looking well enough that it's hard to find an area that you could really lose on, right? In a big way, especially if you're buying into multiple positions, and especially if your portfolio is on the very value centric and long side, that the market just continues to trend, right? Some of these charts again don't look great overall, and it's not something you'd want to sit in for months. But the overall market is, right? The overall market, we continue to trend to the upside, looking very well. And so uh, we're in these positions, just pushing through the long side, all right, through the value side, pushing through. But we want to still have risks and be able to get those gains that are again going to separate us from the average. And this is the only way to do it, right? To continue to put the risk on. Now's a good time, right? Now's a good time before we start to get back into Fed discussion and everything else and trying to figure all that out, right? Energy's opening. Energy's gonna be opening flat. Banks basically doing the same. These again are right at the top of their trend line, basically, of this very short-term consolidation we've had. Very similar to a lot of the other the bull flags that we've seen coming off a big trend. Whether or not these have a big breakout candle through the high or not is a question. I've obviously posted charts over the last 2 days of some financial companies that are in that area. That would be on the smaller side, not the very large cap sort of companies. We'll see if there's a big breakout here. I think you're just gonna kind of smooth criminal your way through, sort of through the consolidation here, and you just keep trending. I don't know if it specifically needs to break out, put a lot of points on. So we just keep trading through the longer term sort of view. There's not really exposure to the short term. And you don't really get paid for it anyway. So the more risk you take with a short-term position isn't even worth it, because the long-term position will pay the same thing anyway. So it doesn't even make sense, and you want to be able to capture more than less. So we continue to trade through the long side there. And again, nothing has changed on the value side. Everything is looking almost exactly the same, which is a good thing, because that's the whole point of that trade. When you look at healthcare, you look at energy, banks, REITs. I posted more REITs again last night. When you look at all of these, they're all doing the same thing and moving to the upside. Some of these are a little different. I posted, for instance, been a little bit flatter. Overall, almost everything is moving the same, and so we will continue to push these on the long term. And the question really becomes, when do we start taking some of those positions and turning them into more risky ones, right? Which we've slowly been doing here, but it's really not time yet to switch over to only risk positions. So that's about it going into going today. I don't really foresee much going on today. Again, we're definitely on at least for right now, not really paying attention to intraday too much, other than for entries, and we're just seeing the overall flows of the market and making sure we're aware of everything. No, not getting caught with our pants down. Otherwise, though, we're very much on a longer term view. We're looking from week to week, and then watching as candles sort of approach different price points, right? We were watching on the lows to enter, and now we're watching coming up to the high, right? We're 0.5% away from all-time high. Who would have thought, last week that was the case, right? Last week we were 4% from the high. Yeah, we're only 0.5% now. We did 3.5% in 3 days, so 4 days, if you want to say that. So again, these things. This is why it doesn't really matter day to day. It's more about overall because you could say from May 10th to now, the 25th, that we're at the exact same price, right? We're literally at the exact same price, and none of the price action really mattered, other than we get to buy at a low. That's the whole point, is we get to buy at a low, so we actually gained more, right? Some of these positions lost more if you were holding them, but if you took profit on some of these things start to add up to much more than just the average here of just break even zero, right? And so that's where, again, if you buy on the dip, even if you lost here, you're gaining more because you're gaining from not only the overall trend, you get to then add in every single dip's percent gain, which in this case is 4%. So again, you're gaining on the trend, and then you're also gaining from these short-term dips by buying on them. If you don't buy them, then you're just averaging through them, right? You just draw one average line. I don't want to be on just one line, right? I'll take that line and then take the dip as well, right? I don't know if there's an analogy there, chips and dip. I'm not really sure, but that's about it. So 2 minutes to open. Looks like we're opening hot. Pre-market action stayed pretty good. Um, looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Again, I think everything runs through the mega caps on the tech side, and we'll see. We'll see. All right, let me turn that off. I'm gonna put the 5 minute on just to start the day, so we can see if we're spazzing out at the open. The S&P. We're opening at 420.30 on this buy. Only about 30 basis points. Not really. Nothing crazy. Nasdaq's about half. So we'll see what this turns into. Turn this off. And again, for any downside move that comes, it shouldn't push anybody out of anything. We have the low buy. If you don't have a low buy and you just bought yesterday at the high of yesterday, then you're obviously going to have to be more sensitive. But for all of us that bought at the low, this is not a situation where if prices come down today and erase yesterday's 1% gain, that we do anything. We do nothing. The best thing to do right now is do nothing other than to buy everything. So again, that should not be a problem. Okay, here we go. I have to make a couple trades out the open, so. Might be, one of those very quick take profit from 1% yesterday. You get like 3 minutes of 10, 20 basis point pullback, maybe pullback to in here. If something like that happens, I'm gonna be a little bit more aggressive and buy on that dip. If it gets close to this candle, I'll start buying. So if that was the case. Pretty low volume. Pretty low volume start. Not many orders. Looks like the usual orders here. Might be the old 10 o'clocker. Come with the old 2.5. That's nice. Getting travel getting going here. Win up over almost 1.25%. Caesar also getting going from the start. That got through. BA's up over 1%. Amazon heading to 1. iHeart heading to 1. Definitely looks very good there. Apple's starting to head to 1, starting to go bid on that, starting to go bid across the board on tech. They just about everything got the bid. Now we're starting to move on travel some more. China, we're starting to move. Very nice entry through PDD there. Now at 2.5, now heading to 3. TCOM now over 3. So our volatility is definitely in getting our gamma, not in a squeeze sense, but just acceleration. Definitely accelerating. Very nice move to start here. Again, what we're looking for is to possibly trend right through that gap. I've talked about it since yesterday. Where we're opening, you go through that little gap in the trend line, which is about 0.5%. And every time we've been here, we put points on very quickly. We're certainly doing that right now, and so it's definitely nice to prove a point. So just randomly saying shit. Oh yeah, price moves through here pretty quick. Just making shit up. It's definitely nice to start putting points on. But this is what we've seen. Now we're not doing it completely yet, but this is what we've seen that we put points on through here very quick. What we've seen so far is definitely iterating that idea. You go through this very quick. Now we have to get through that resistance, but I think it's definitely a start here. You don't usually start off a very interesting start. So see if we get this momentum or not. And we're really looking through this sort of thing right here. This is everything. Mega Cap's doing this move here. Again, is everything. And we saw Google, for instance, put an ass load of points on yesterday, right? Yeah. Looking good. Looking good. Amazon, we're getting through the level. Let's see. This is 32.75 here. Now, it looks like we're pulling back into it. So here you go. This is 1% on Amazon. This is the whole point here, is that if you go through here and you start to climb through this, it gets very quick, very quick. It's called speed. We'll see. That tick hasn't even come through yet, so there it goes. Let's go. Oh, it's nice making money, boys. Imagine buying the dip on mega caps and then bragging about it. Yikes. Yikes. Everyone bought mega caps, but either way, it's definitely nice. It's definitely still nice to make money on it when you're putting risk on. TCOM continuing again. We've done a lot of TCOM trades recently through here. This is a question of whether everything moves with travel. Everything is in the exact same consolidation. This little flag look looking very good. Hot stocks coming off the low. REITs continue to go through the high. We are stopped for the moment on semis, but they're all still holding that very high point. China ticker's looking very good. Uber coming through, continuing the high, definitely looking a lot better out of this consolidation down here. Continuing to put higher lows on, higher highs. Looks very good down there. DD continues, again, one of the funnier looking charts that it doesn't really know what it is, whether it's value, growth, has no clue, has just about every property of each chart. There it goes, continuing. It's been a very nice trade so far. We'll see if COVID winners are going to come off that low. Things like Etsy doesn't look great, but putting points on. Spot coming up, possibly 250 up here. Definitely, okay. It's proven the point. It's proven the point that we can take it with momentum off the low here. So we're getting going. Definitely getting going. Okay. Definitely getting going. Now we're just waiting to see if we can get through this resistance on the average, and then put the points on through that little bit of a gap. AL now almost 3, CCL almost 3.5. UMC looks like it might get going. It is at 5% already on the day, so from that open. PDD now 3.5. SI 3.5. SKT already 2.5. Again, we added SKT again. Another just semi. Net continues over 1. BA now 1.5. We've continued this move very nice so far. Again, the candle from Friday was just a no-brainer. Talked about it on Friday. It's a no-brainer to take this trade through. This is a very nice move so far, and doesn't need to put points on like every single every single 5 minutes or something. This is plenty for today already. You get this trend continuing. Just every single day, continue to build that trend. That looks very good there. Exactly what you want to see. GD again, you get this trend line here, and a lot of these charts look very similar. If you look through here, they have this resistance right in here. Doji, we're now sitting on the Doji, but the mega caps have already sort of shown themselves. Definitely already shown themselves. That same resistance across the board, it's all we're looking for to be broken, right? All we're looking for to be broken, whether it's a trend line, horizontal, everything is the same there, which is again why if we put the points on quick here and you break through that, then again, you have this whole zone through here that it's about 0.5% from the actual trend line in there. That gap gets moved very quick. That's just gonna happen, right? It's gonna happen if that goes through. Google's almost all-time high. I mean, the points that we put on yesterday, the fact that you've already almost put a percent on after a 3% day, after buying from, I mean, it's just, again, it's so many points. And this is where if you don't take these trades, it's got to feel bad because it doesn't even make sense. Everyone took this trade, barely making, uh, it's, things do not move from the low like this unless everyone bought, right? That's kind of the point. Doesn't take everyone to sell, takes everyone to buy though. Contracts are definitely looking good. TDD now over 4%. TCOM now 3%. Wiz says F staying strong. F is doing very well. It's been a very nice trade so far. 2% on the day now. Looks like there's going to be more. Looks like there's going to be more. Again, I talked about a holding yesterday. It doesn't even make sense to take profit yesterday. We continue. Those of you that entered when I did, there's literally nothing that's going to push you out of this position now. There's no transition point. There's nothing. If we break through the high today, we just hang out. We let it go. There's a trend line up here. If you want to get interesting, here you go. That's about 17% for today. So you're talking about up here's the trend line, but you can do possibly a little bit of backtracking. Look for some levels through here, which it's really nothing that looks that bad. Maybe through here. What's this? This is about, I don't know, 1433 or something like that. Maybe there you go. We'll look at this on the Ford chart right here. Maybe this point here, which could definitely happen very quickly. That's a very big move so far, though. That's a ton of bid. That looks very much like on Monday. Excuse me, Friday. We took that trade. All right, we bid up to the trend line. We're looking to continue. I think there's a mix. Here you go. Dow's coming through now. Value's coming through now. You get the you get the underbelly to get through, and then you're ready to get moving. This chart, I mean, doesn't get much better looking than that. As soon as you break this local high through here, right? As soon as you break through this, things get a lot easier, right? Things get a lot easier. And this is that double bottom sort of phenomena. This is not a double bottom because it's not a downtrend leading into a bottom. This is, again, just horizontal sort of levels. But when you get this move where, again, you do this and you have to then still break through this level. That's the whole point, is you've got rejected. You've already got rejected 2 times. This is where once you break through that, then it's open sky. So again, the whole market has the same resistance right on top of it right now. And so if every average pushes through, this is one of those average days where if the average pushes through, then everything pushes through. And so Again, this is where we trade individual tickers because average may not be moving, but individual tickers right now are putting in a shit ton of points on, obviously. Right. PDD heading up to trend line. Trend line is at 139.45, maybe 139.5, we'll call it. That's a great start right there. Definitely makes me happy that we got this one. Again, I fucking hate this goddamn China trade, but come on, Baba. Push through here. Get everybody going. If you didn't see the HSI action, we got bid off this. This is, again, nothing to get too excited on because it needs to break out of all this, and there's no way to have price break out of China regulation. So, but we got one of the tickers at least. One of them. Small caps as well. I posted the chart back over here, but then we got really stuck in supply on the small caps, and there was a lot of things happening through big energy doing a lot better than the small cap energy, and then regional banks put so many points on so quick that they actually slow down. It looks a lot better over here when you look at it now because you're not in this mess. This shit was a mess. This is a lot more, average, and movement's not terrible. So we'll see if the small caps pick up. And again, if retail's in the discussion, small caps usually do a little bit better. We've seen, at least in the past. Mm. Neo up 4.5%. Moderna does look pretty good there. Does look pretty good. All right, travel trade. We're getting back up to the high, so here we go. We'll see if that high gets broken. Definitely worthwhile to hold. Mentioned a few times what we pushed that trade for. You could have took like what? It was probably like some of you had like 50%. Some of you probably gained 50% from that previous move. You could have took that. Maybe a little bit less than that. You could have took that. It's not what we took the trade for, though. MTDR off the chart. Okay. Expedia about to go through 175.25. Again, the service providers on the travel sides are important. That's why we look at the TCOM chart. These are important. We do like to look at these as leaders in terms of the trade. Expedia kind of has slowed down quite a bit. It has not been the case, which is why we look elsewhere when we're looking for these. So that does look good so far. Everything on the move. Yep, pot stocks are up, which has been a very difficult timing, but with retail coming back, it's going to be a lot easier. That's for sure. Those option chains are terrible without retail because it's just not the same. Oh, we got a big candle coming through there. Just the start of the 15. All right. Definitely looking very good. Very good on some of the more volatile moves. Travel up over 4%. Semis up almost 4% across the board. Looking very good. Also, the wind trade, obviously now over 2. Look at that bad boy go. You broke through resistance and you're putting points on. What is this? The roulette? What is this? The hole in the roulette table? That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Aren't you glad you put your win calls on? I am. VA. Stop for a moment. We'll see if this is what we're gonna have for the day. It's probably pretty close. 2% is quite a bit, but hey, it's definitely possible to put more on, I guess. Possible. That is an open range in there, But I don't know if we've ever really seen BA put points on. But hey, there might be retail BAers, the perma bulls on BA that just woke up. Funny that the average looks like this right now on the spine. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. Thanks with the bid candle to start. Energy's down 0.5%. Barely has moved though. Take a look at some commodities. Gold's up 20 basis points on the day so far. We're still sitting here in a little bit of the consolidation. Bitcoin, some continued volatility, still underneath the resistance here. Still underneath the resistance. We haven't really seen much to start the day so far. There's really nothing here yet. So we'll see if this is either coming back up. Looks like it's just going to continue to downtrend through here. Really not that clear. But again, we've noticed that it's definitely still heading towards the downside. Let's see. Let's take a look. Take a look. Amazon rejected. Spoke too soon. Tesla with the 0.5% so far. All right, put it back on. I'm gonna put it on the 5-minute here, just so we can watch this turn through here. See what it looks like on the 5-minute. Whether you got big orders, overall average. Definitely have. I mean, there's everything's already sort of made a big move. So, 4% across all travels, quite a bit. 5%. UMC. Oof. Etsy is heading towards 3. Interesting. And as it heads down into this candle, this is a nice area to be buying in with that closing candle of yesterday. And again, these are just 5-minute candles. These are not many points. This right here is 10 basis points, this candle right that we're looking at. Still up 13 basis points. Nice area to buy in. But again, if you look at the top, you're blowing through the top right now, which is, again, contrary to the average. Not even sure what's actually down. Take a look at the Dow. The Dow we have... Not actually sure. Let's take a look. It's just AMGN coming down, but bios don't so much matter here. Very interesting that the average is coming down. IBM is coming down. Interesting. Very weird average look, which is again why it doesn't really matter so much, but very strange look to it. When you look at the big boys at the top here, very weird. See, we'll see what AMGN does. How much that goes. Definitely been the most volatile up there with CRM in terms of back and forth, but I don't see that being much of a problem. Okay, put on the all 15er. Let me pull up Bloomberg here. Let me pull up Bloomberg. So again, right here, nice spot to be buying. On the average. On the average. I don't see anything. Wondering if we had something different, but we literally just have the same news from Moderna's shot being effective with teens from earlier. So maybe we got something else with bios. Nothing at all. All is normal. Yeah. We watching the BA candles here. Very interesting looking candles for sure. Win also with the pullback here. Definitely, definitely a lot of volatility to start the day. Up 2%, down 1% on the span of 22 minutes. Definitely a lot of action. Those of you that did not buy off the open, you might be getting some interesting chances on some of our newer charts here. Are we in for the whip? Are we in for the whip? And this is not the biggest whip in the world. Definitely not the biggest whip in the world. That's 30 basis points from high to low today so far. Definitely not the biggest whip. The AIG back into the trend line. Should get interested to see if how well that trend line holds. Put points on very quickly again. This move here showing that this tertiary financial side through the financing of assets definitely looking good. What we get here for a whip? I would say it's most likely a whip from the low here, because again we haven't put points. We haven't done basically anything in terms of points here. All from pre-market and going bid from the very start of the move with a lot of momentum. So I would imagine those momentum bids just stopped and it pushed price down a little bit here at the start. Imagine those same momentum bids. If you're willing to buy at that high, then you're willing to buy at the low here. That should translate to a whip. So pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Should make travel, put more points on overall. As well as some of those smaller tech tickers, most likely. It's gonna be 86 tomorrow. Gross. Rain, thunderstorms. Not a big fan of that. Big fan. Take a look at mega caps here. Coming into the low. Consolidating down here now. Google chart looks terrible, of course. I mean, what are these charts? These are terrible. What is that? What is that? And when you talk about whipsaws, you don't really think it looks like that, but I guess that's what it looks like. Those are ugly candles right there. Gross. Almost 1%. Gross. Pretty silly candles on the mega caps. I'm not sure why we have so much movement on some of those. Facebook doing the dance. It's already whipped. Facebook already whipped. Let's see. Viacom, we were getting some interesting action to start. Looks like we're just continuing pace now. Again, we have a bet. We've got a bet. We'll see how she does. You've got Amazon buying MGM. You've got AT&T and Discovery merging their media. What about Viacom? What's gonna happen with Viac? We'll see. PCS candles are all over the place. Pretty widespread down there as well, by the way. Pretty widespread. It is lower volume. Definitely lower volume. This is mostly due to the fact that no one is trading in a short-term sort of sense right now. We're just sort of waiting to buy, then they buy, then they wait, then they buy. If you're selling, it's because you're specifically trying to buy something else. And you don't time selling. That's not really a thing. Kind of sell it. Just kind of sell it. Because if you want to buy something else, then you don't want to wait around. You'd rather wait to buy. You don't want to wait to sell. Talking about on the share side, institutions. EDD is still 3%. China's still looking good. So those trades are definitely looking good. SKT 2.5. Oofa. The spread's definitely wide. You've seen some interesting movement down here. I'm having a hard time catching the momentum. There's not enough activity really. It looked like we were getting the whip there. You look at the mega caps. Those were pretty whippy. This kind of shit right in here, I mean, pretty whippy. Facebook did it. Facebook's got a little bit more activity on the short side. Not sure what the hell happened in here, but interesting move on Snap. Okay. I'm gonna bring us over to our home builder trade. Again, it's hard to look at these charts actually. You can't really see very well. But from where we bought on the low, doing quite well so far. We had a lot more bid to start. I'm sure we'll get that back. But it's a very nice baseline that we've sort of established on this trade. And if you use something a little bit more risky, like I did through nail, you do have more points. It's up 3% so far today. It's about 5% in total so far. We put a lot more points on earlier. We'll see if those come back. But again, going through lumber futures, you saw the housing prices came out. Or excuse me, sort of the demand come in. You can see this is still heading towards the upside. We are getting our data coming in through this. See what this does today. See what we get through here. We will see. Waiting for some. Waiting for the old order to come through. Not here yet. This is yesterday. Oh, we're delayed, right? I have you guys on delayed data. Okay, never mind. Well, you'll see it in a second. I forgot it's on here. I got it on interactive, but they are up. They are up, I promise. Like looking at it, I'm like, what is going on here? Why are these prices not coming in? Oh, right, it's on a 10-minute delay on TradingView futures. That's right. That's right. Yeah, look at all this volatility down here. Oof. 18.5 on the VIX. Yikes. Dollar. It's very close to that breakdown spot. It's very close. BA still looking very good. Still up there. Forward to the dirty doji. All right, let's sit here and hang out. Hang out. Definitely nice start to the week so far. Especially when you look at the highs being pushed through. Well, obviously, the lows are much higher. Every single candle here through this since the pullback started last week. But the highs are really what matters. The highs are in. The bid is in. Somebody bought at the top today and are still in. That's the bid is in. Also, this sort of price action here does fuel more options buying. Important to remember that options like to be bought when there are swings and when prices are more volatile. If things are just trading in a straight line, there's really nothing to bet on. You don't really have things happening. You're just kind of, it's harder to buy one way. But if you have a dip that's in front of you and it looks like prices are about to go back up to even where they just were 30 minutes ago, more calls will be bought than if they were just up there to begin with, right? And they'll still be out there. No matter what, even if they get sold, they'll still be out there. And so again, the more intraday moves that happen, the more calls that will be generated. That's just kind of a reality. And so also thinking, again, from an institution that is long a stock, they are hedging their long shares through options by hedging with selling calls, right? And so those calls continue to be sold more and more, written more and more as there's more volatility. And so if there's more volatility intraday, more calls will be written, more calls will be bought, quantity goes up, demand goes up as prices move to the upside, market makers buy the underlying, more momentum, more calls, yada, 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 all-time high. BA not stopping. Neither is SKT. Okay, the 5-minute candle is bugging me now. We gotta stick to the 15. Holy shit. too staticky looking. You haven't even, this is your whip. 5 minute looks like nothing's happening. Or it looks like, I don't know. It looks like too much distance is being covered, I guess. Too much time is being covered. Not the case. The great candle down here. Whip, whip, whip. Again, this is a whip. It's the 20 basis point whip, but basically no points, but BA is now at 2%. Oh boy. We are doing it, aren't we, folks? All right. Well, it looks like 251 is in. That's another 3.5%, but that's a lot of momentum. See, I don't think you. Nope, you're going to 250. You're going to 251 today, boys. Ooh, how much is that in total today? That would be it's almost 6% on the day. Damn. Doesn't it feel good? It just feels so good. Yeah, and almost 5. Oh, just, sometimes it just feels so good, guys. Oof. Oof. Death boat. Oof. Hold me back. Hold me back. Oh, goodness. Sometimes, I tell you. I think the Google move yesterday was probably the funniest because it's kind of silly. You put 3% on in a day and you bought on the dip and you get fresh calls. Oof. But these are pretty good. They're pretty good too. I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. These ones are, this is better than the being right on the smaller, or I'm not gonna say smaller, being right on the plays that are not market wide always feel better and obviously pay you a lot more, right? And so definitely these trades are, are ones that should be, looked upon more and learned upon more and take something taken away because they, are alpha generating sort of trades that, alpha being just more profit is what matters, right? It's being right, but it's also being a lot more profit. You buy something that everyone buys, well, you're only going to make as much as everyone else, which is fine. But that just means you can just go put something, you don't even need to actively manage it. These sort of trades are the ones that, these are the paydays. And it's going to be consistent. You could always be consistent year over year, but here you go. Love that candle right there. Wow. Okay, wind coming back. It took off a lot more points than the rest of travel. This candle is probably going to look really silly. Probably going to encompass this entire thing. Got rejected so far. It's gonna go through there, but it's probably going to get a big wide spread on win. I've seen this before. You're gonna get, if this gets held here, you're gonna see a really weird split up to here, or if it's on the same candle, then you'll see it just kind of move up into there. It's probably gonna look a little weird. I'm gonna leave it here for a second. So you're gonna go from here, and it's gonna you're going to just see it kind of jump. And if it's not on this candle, you'll see the next candle just open right up here. Big gap between the candles on the 15, or you'll be able to see it on the 5 at least. So you get this gap here already. You're going to get a big gap into here if that candle doesn't close. Or if it's in the same candle again, you'll just see it jump real quick. Because it took off a lot more points, and so now you have this really weird spread that happens when everyone's trying to buy across an average, and then this chart's a lot lower, even though it's technically not. Some weird shit happening. Plot stocks are getting going. Retail's definitely out here. The GRWG chart doing a lot better. Obviously, our timing the first time around, just last month, was not on. Definitely was not spot on. Then I posted the ACB chart again. That was not on. Now we're getting going again. Obviously, we've been talking about retail a lot. That's a place to attack them. Definitely a place to attack them. You can buy out of the monies and it fucking doesn't even need to move. Someone will buy it. GRWG's now at, this is just gone. Just gone. We're coming back into here. This will just come right back on, by the way. So, and you're still above the trend line. That's why I always talk about if it's above the trend line, still fine. This is a great spot right here. If retail comes in here, this is a lot. You have to put this in perspective that calls have been bought in this area for a very long time. There's a big quantity out there. This is very fast. There's no way this is not being moved by Gamma right now at all. There's just no way. Coming out of here, the amount of quantity, it's just too fast. It's all market makers buying the underlying, trying to support that. SKT continuing. Let's see. Where is this trend line? Trend line's at 1870. Some of these are spooking me a little bit. It looks like if you get enough momentum, it's only we're very early in. We're not even an hour in yet. Some of those could definitely put points on super quick. I don't think the market's gonna let it happen, but market's still like consolidating at this low. Whoops, it was on 15. Consolidating at the low before it's getting back up to the upside. But the rest of these tickers are just putting it on. Putting it on. UMC consolidating from that very high open. Looks like a pivot candle right there. Oh god, those Moderna candles. Uber, I mean, what are these candles in here? What are we doing in here? Over 2% spread, high to low. That's just gross. I mean, some of these are gross. How do you even buy in here? What are, like... Oof. Those are quite the spreads. GE coming out of the high of today, looks like. Z hasn't moved yet. Banks are hanging out. Yeah. Oh. It's gonna be a fun day. Maybe one of the more fun intraday setups, that's for sure. Even though there's really nothing to do, but alright. Just put yourself in the shoes of a day trader, right? Great setup for your little day trades on your average charts. Go buy me some SPY 5 candle out. Probably gonna be a boring lunch, I'll tell you. Gonna be a boring lunch. Unless we get some politics come out. We are watching for timelines and sort of tones, possibly numbers from infrastructure plan changing. They are they're not looming, but they are definitely a part of the market right now. Don't think anyone's having meetings or anything today. I don't see. All right, everything coming off the low into the upside. Amazon come back up, open the highest, so I'm just gonna maneuver itself back around. Make its way. PayPal come back to the high. All right. Take a look at some of the big semis. AMD up 75 basis points. Again, we're looking for that to move all with the semis. Our Nvidia trade still looking very good. Still the most bullish. Not much happening here today. All right, give me one sec, guys. Alrighty. Waiting on the megas to come back up. You'll get the tail end of the whip. See much else happen here today. Comes Twitter. And we're basically looking at all these charts the exact same. Twitter, only difference is that you had the gap down. Just throw it up here and very similar move coming. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. We do like these charts. Forward erasing some of that gain. We'll see what this move looks like. It's very bullish. I mean, no other way to look at it. So just a lot of volatility coming in today with low volume. Pretty low volume across the board, causing some wide spreads, which will cause some volatility. But the bid is in. Beats all looking good across the board. Like pot stocks starting to finally slow down with the market. SKT catching more bid. Here we go. Catching some more. Does look like it's pretty open out here. It's pretty open. Net is at 80. Don't think there's any level here. Nope. Hanging out. Oh, it's like almost 2.5 to resistance. Not sure that happens today. It's most likely tomorrow. If we don't cross this today, we're gonna come back. We open here tomorrow. It'd be the same scenario. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I don't see any way that we don't get all-time high this week, to be honest with you. I can't really see a scenario where we don't. I think there's too much pressure now and momentum built up. We're only 0.5% away. Mega caps are just they're not gonna stop coming off the low here. Like, these are not gonna stop down here. I mean, I just don't see them stopping down here. The ones that are behind, and then the ones that are doing well. I mean, they've already proven that they have the momentum. So Facebook, Google, Microsoft, these already have the momentum. So if Amazon and Apple get going, I mean, I don't see how this right here stops. This candle here, I mean, we've seen some volatility so far today, but if that kind of means that we're getting some of it out of the way on a very bullish day so far. So even if we got held underneath this trend line on the SPY today, you're still climbing. And even if you just climb this trend line, you would reach the all-time high this week. That would be Friday. Friday would be the all-time high on that trend line. Even if you just traded right up against it, never broke through, just hung out here, that would still be all-time high this week. So, and I find that very unlikely because that would mean zero price movement every single day, all pre-market. Don't see that happen. Today we've seen way too much bid, too much, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna whip. I don't know why it looks like this, but most of it's already whipped. Oops. Dow come back down. Maybe it gets held. Maybe. But I think with a day like this so far, with the volatility, it just means a lot of upside today coming as the day goes on. I think lunch is probably I said it's gonna be boring, but if the volume is low enough, it could cause some interesting price action. With this, again, the spread is very wide right now. You get some. Again, if the movement's just going one way, then the spread is also going that way. So you're gonna have some situations where those ask prices are coming in well above, and people are going up there. People will buy them up there because it's just there's nothing else to buy. No, you can't buy the bid. Buying the bid right now is just you're gonna wait for eternity, and no one wants to wait right now. That's where the momentum part comes in. Is that if there's momentum, no one wants to buy the bid because they don't want to wait for price to go down to the bid. So everyone goes to the ask. Well, what if the spread is wide? Well, then it's going to cause price to jump up there. And so what if price jumps up to that most recent ask and then the next ask is up a higher again, right? And it just continues to cause the thing. We've already seen it today. That this bid that we've already started with is going to happen again. Going to go back up there. You're going to get I mean, it's just a question of if we get really low volume and the spread gets wide, are we at the high? Are we at the low? I'm pretty sure we're going to come out of the low here, but just how many points, how quick. Funny, that's 1%. Oh, you guys want to know something heartbreaking? Really? So I bought this new shower. It's called the Dornbracht. It's like the best shower in the world. So since I own my apartment, I pay like renter's insurance and shit like that. I bought this new shower, and so I had to tell my building, like it's very they basically do this shit for me. My insurance went up so much that I had to switch my plan And so now I'm paying almost twice as much because I bought a new shower. Because the shower head that I have, it's basically I have this pressure valve, and it's like you're dumping a it's like a waterfall, a bucket of water just nonstop. Like it's so much pressure coming out of this fucking thing. It's insane. And it goes everywhere. And it could like flood the apartment basically if I don't have my door closed. Like, or I don't really have a door, but if the thing is not, you know, contained and the water doesn't go down, it could possibly flood the apartment is the problem, because it just so much water comes out of this thing so fast. Like it's almost hard to breathe underneath the thing. So my fucking insurance went up double. Double. Gotta watch out for the tenants below, they say. That's the life of buying a new shower, boys. Gotta be careful out there. You never know the repercussions. You're just trying to enjoy a nice shower. Next thing you know, you're getting letters in the mail telling you to pay more insurance. Interesting candle. Here's the Dow candle. Here's the NASDAQ candle. what are we doing over here? What are we doing here? Let's see. Is inflation back? Uh-oh. No inflation? Inflation back? Tell me what we're doing, folks. Okay, now we're bouncing off the low from close candle. We're break even. An interesting ripple. Everything at the high is basically the exact same. It has not moved. Looks like mostly tech. Mostly tech. eBay flirting with this level still. I like the way it's squeezing in here. That's what you like to see right there. Squeeze that right in there, and it's got to go one way, and upside's basically the only way right now. That looks nice. I mean, that level's been tough on it for sure. It's been tough on her. All right, come on, just do it already. Stop debating everybody. We all know where you're going. As soon as I say everyone is like buying the ask, everyone just bought the bid. Why do I even say anything? Like, I don't even need to say anything. Keep my mouth shut. Everyone went and bought the bid. Okay. What can you do? Well, you know what happens when everyone buys the bid? Well, then everyone goes and buys the ask because there's no more bids to buy. Right now, the ratio is really, really out there. It's really out there, boys. We've got like, what is it right now? I got a thing somewhere that tells us the overall market bid to ask. 3 to 1. 3 to 1. Buyers to sellers, 3 to 1. There's a few more buyers out there than sellers. Why is the price down then? Tell me, Don, why would the price be down if there's more buyers? I don't know. I can tell you. God, the Amazon spread is literally silly. It's completely silly. There's more people buying Amazon than selling it right now, but the spread is so wonky that it's coming down. There's more people trying to buy the orders that the people are selling, but the price still goes down. Everyone buying the bid. The very low volume. What's it say on TradingView? It basically says lower volume than their average, so. The EBO average. Here's the lovely spot VIX chart if you didn't know what it looked like recently. You can tell there's been a lot of volatility. It's been pretty wild out there. Oh, God. Look at that fucking masterpiece. And sell this as an NFT right here. That's quite the chart right there. Lot to take away. That's a lot of volatility. A lot of changing in volatility right here. I bet the UVixie chart's even better. Let's take a look. The tradable. Oof. Oof. Unexplainable. How that has movement in the spot VIX does not. That really makes you think. I think UVixie's almost done, actually. It's approaching 0. What's our next one? When is our next? Hold on. We have so many points to the low. 0.5% to the... We have 0.5% to the yesterday's low candle. and it's 0.5% to the all-time high. Which one's more likely? Yes, both. You know what? You can tell the difference though. I talked about this yesterday as well. Now that we're on this more weekly approach, and you can see the majority of orders coming in on Monday, right? We talked about it open yesterday. You could see a lot of those big orders being placed Monday. And you won't see those orders being placed again until if they're getting out of them on Friday or if they then on Monday do it again. You can see that here at the start that this lower volume is directly basically proportional to those orders that were put on Monday and that we saw the Monday before. And we've seen this shift as we get further and further towards a long-term view, is that if you're putting trades on, that you put them on at the start of the week. You watch them as the week goes on. You make a decision Friday to do nothing or to obviously, change them. And then Monday you do it again, right? And we've seen this, and a lot of people do trade like that. When you talk about like actual trading, not like just putting positions on for an investment, but you talk about like actual trading, a lot of strategies revolve around that. Where Monday, okay, this can be the day that we do everything. It's going to be the higher volume, which is why we see a lot of times Friday will have a lot of action because it's the end of the week and it's going into that Monday where a lot of those orders we get put on. So that's why it's you're trying to preempt a move, which is why when we do risk trades, we like to take them on Fridays because we want to preempt a Monday move. That's kind of the point. With this climate, we're on the much more long-term sort of spectrum. So most orders are being put on Monday. I think you can see a lot of that here today with just how low the volume looks, and the orders are just kind of, they're all spread and people are buying the bid, and it's just kind of, there's not much happening intraday, which is why we're not trading this kind of stuff. It just it's really easy to see what's going to happen intraday. Like I could sit here and I've already said it's going to whip here. It obviously hasn't done it yet, but I could buy down there and 9 times out of 10 I'm going to profit on that. But you're not going to make any money doing that. There's barely any money to be made on these very small intraday moves because there's just not enough liquidity. There's not really anybody doing anything. There's almost no point. Not the game. But it's interesting. It might, again, it's important to keep it in mind because when we think of when do we transition and when do we put new positions on and these type of things, we do need to be aware of not buying into low volume or something, right? Because thankfully, obviously, a lot of the positions that we just put on, or we have a very high baseline, and then things from this morning have continued to just jump from the open. But for instance, if you were trying to put a trade on through here, it's not exactly clear, right, with the lower volume how you're doing it in some of these areas, and so especially if it's going further into the week, like do you wait on some of these? What's the best way? And it looks like Mondays right now are really a nice day, and then also Fridays for risk are really a nice day right now. So we do want to focus on putting an emphasis on those 2 days and trying to take advantage of where the volume is and where the liquidity is, because that's when price is the most accurate, right? And for the way we trade, at least the way I trade and the way I talk about it, you need accuracy, which is heavy amount of liquidity, lots of volume, lots of action. Not this kind of shit right here, because just not not very good. Too much spread. Like when you then extrapolate that to options, it's just too much, right? Options just they react to every little damn thing, and if you just all you have is just a wide spread, it then makes the volatility much higher, which means you're paying a higher fee for no reason. You're literally just paying a higher premium for low volume, and that doesn't feel good. Why we obviously only trade higher volume tickers when we're buying options because it's just you need liquidity. Just sucks if you're hanging out by yourself. You need market makers. You need players. Unless you're specifically just trying to take advantage of a low volume environment, but it's never fun. One day this is also maybe just while we have a little bit of nothing happening. This is where it's so important, and I talked about it yesterday as well. That when you compare that open interest to the volume, you want to make sure it's okay to buy something that has low volume and a high open interest, like if the chart looks good. But you do want to be careful when there's that big heavy amount of supply that could just drop on you and then you just never get out of the trade or something. If it's like something like Apple or something, that's never something you have to worry about. It's a smaller charts, but um, beyond that, it is important that when you're buying something, especially if it's lower volume, that you're looking back at the price history of those options. Before you buy an option, you need to go look at what the price was the day before, the week before, and from when it had opened. Look at that whole price history. Just open up the chart, whatever you got to do to look at it, and look all the way back and see what that is lined up to the underlying, and find out exactly, right, what's happening with the price, because you can have times like this where nothing is actually happening on the underlying, but the volume is dropping and the spread is widening. And so with those lower volume, maybe you put the volume candles on the underlying and look. When the volume is lower, it can cause volatility to start to increase on those options, which again that's literally the only thing that prices options. Is again the implied volatility. That's your premium. We call it the premium level. If that is going up and the price of the options are going up, yet the price of the underlying is doing nothing, right? That can be good if you're in the trade. It's not good if you're trying to enter it, because you buy that thing and then all of a sudden everything goes back to normal and now your price is going down and you're red all of a sudden. Some of you have probably experienced this. I definitely have, where you buy an option and now you're already red and you go, wait, what? I just bought this and I'm already down 10%. Nothing's even happened yet. How did that happen, right? And that's, again, lower volume, the spread is wide, and because you're paying a premium for the fact that there's low accuracy, and it's sort of like an out of the ordinary sort of trade, because what happens again is that there's no way to price upside or downside. The volatility could go up or down, right? Price could go up or down. And so all it can do, again, as a metric, is just be an absolute value. And it causes that weird scenario where if you just looked at what the price was yesterday, you can find out if maybe you need to wait to buy, or you just got to go find a different contract, right? It just that's one of those, like, sometimes I'm in a rush and I'll just go buy something and I don't actually go and like do some due diligence on the contracts. I'm like, oh, okay, they're fresh contracts. I can buy these. These look pretty good. Like, because I'm like, I never chase momentum, but there's those times like early in the morning I'll see something that I wasn't expecting and I'll just try to go jump on it. And then I'll buy something that's literally just dog shit, and nothing's happening and everyone is selling. Everyone was already in the calls. Everyone's selling them. And then I'm wondering what the hell's going on, and you end up losing money for no reason just because you didn't take 30 seconds to look at the price and be like, oh, okay. Same with I thankfully have gotten a lot better at this, like, over the last year or so, since we've been so volatile with retail traders jumping in. But trying to find out what your opening price is going to be on your options, right? You see pre-market action, you're like, okay, we're opening up 1.5% higher. Where are the option prices going to open today? And you're trying to figure out where exactly to put your bids in or anything like that. That kind of dynamic there, it's so important to figure out what the prices actually were and how they moved before, because you can learn from them. And also knowing how much supply is out there, because a lot of times you go, oh, okay, so these are probably going to open about 5% higher or so. So I'm going to look to get in there. But you're going to see like some ticks come in that are completely wild, right? You'll have some orders that go in like 20, 30% higher, and some that are lower. And that's when you get those weird option charts where you have those like weird doji candles all over the damn place. And you're like, what the hell is going on in here? If you're looking at it like on an intraday, that's where you don't play that game. You don't play that game. I used to try to play the game where I'd guess the price and try to be like, okay, I know the price. It literally doesn't matter because again, it's about the market setting the price, not what your opinion is, which is why trying to like uh I don't know. There's some ideas that people have that you can Black-Scholes model and do the math yourself and figure out what the price is to basically set the day, but that's not how this works. It's not what you think, right? It's what the price actually is, and the market's going to set it, right? The market will open with it, and those orders will go through. Trying to actually figure it out is just a waste of time. I've almost completely transitioned into using the iBalgo on IB using the market order that's with the iBalgo and put it on the passive. Like usually I'll put the bid in my limit order myself with the passive. I've almost transitioned to only using the market order on the passive, and it will sit there for a little bit before it finds me an order and split the spread. So again, to split the spread on. It's not a true market order where it just fills you on a random order. It's very much like a limit order. But what it will do is that during that open, it will not just take a random order, right? Because people do put those dumbass orders in where they're trying to guess the fucking price and they're just stupid. Like we're all stupid trying to guess the price of the open. Like that's the reality. If you let IB do that with the market order with iBalgo and use just sort of a passive, it will sit there and it'll wait for the bullshit to subside, and then it will go put the order in, and it'll work out, right? I'm talking about options, the option prices, not conditional to the underlying or anything like that. Just sitting there, okay, waiting, and that's if you're just trying to get into a position at the open, right? Otherwise, you can, you put your limit in, and I mean, you know who you are, whether you're. I'm sure 90% of you in here, you're out there buying the fucking ask anyway. So you're not waiting for the bid to come in. Buy the ask. I'll pay the premium. Get me in the position. I want to see that I'm in. You're sitting there like, God damn, I'm still not in this order yet. Or I'm still not in this position yet. Just fucking throw me in there and put the ask on. If you're that kind of person, then please go use the IB market order using the AI and let it split the spread. And it's not a market order. It won't get a random price. It won't fuck you. It'll just go sit there, split the spread, and go find you an order and put you in. If you're really one of those people, because I've been doing it a lot recently. I think it's just because, I mean, like I've joked about before, it's like I'm working 10 times less than I did before, but you get a little lazy, and you're not lazy, but you're just kind of not as, you don't care about the pennies anymore. I don't really care about the pennies anymore. If there's a $20 on the street, I'll pick it up. If it's a fiver, probably not. Fivers were out. $5 and down, I'm not bending over and picking it up. But 20s, yeah, I'll buy the 20. That's kind of how I feel in the options or with the spreads now. Like, all right, slap an ass and slap an ass. Exactly. And I think it's a majority of people use market orders anyway. I mean, that's just insane to me to not. I mean, you at least need to split the spread, but definitely using that. I think it's gotten a lot better now that I've noticed that it's gotten better because more people are using it. Um, so when you go and do that, it's not a market order at all. It's basically like getting a limit order, but without having to wait for someone to buy the bid. You can you can find others that are also splitting, and again, people have gotten better, but you never want to underestimate some of the newer traders out there, and also the computers that are out there trading. I mean, they're pretty, I don't know, they don't have big ideas, but they're pretty fucking good at the quick stuff. The open, that's why we trade in the open. It's the most liquid. Everyone's out. sometimes you'll get the when you're looking at your market makers, if you know the acts of something, like sometimes, let me give you an example. Something like a little bit smaller, not a mega cap, but not a mid cap. Something in like the large side, but it's already something like BRKB, for instance. BRKB, if you're looking at that, you'll find the acts for the market maker very quickly on that. It usually doesn't change very often. And in that sort of situation, you can just go up there. Like if you got a window with the market maker and it shows the bid and the ask, you just go click on it. Go click on it, get filled on it. Right. Those heavy liquid um sort of chains that have those market makers there just providing liquidity all the time, because again, there's just hedges coming through. You just go buy those. Just go buy it real quick. It's a lot easier. You don't have to send an order in to the exchange or anything. You just go click it, take it, done. Give me the old market maker order. In those situations, like if you know you're just dealing with market makers, then just make sure you're just taking the market maker order, right? You just put it to the exact. If they're selling at 258, then you go put it in. You click on it and do it at 258 and get filled on it immediately, right? That's where if you use that market order that IB provides, again, not a normal market order, but using the IB algo, it will go put you into that market maker instantly. You'll instantly get filled on the market maker order if it's to the exact cent. But if you go and you're doing a separate order, right, you're going to get you're combing the entire market. If the price is right from the market maker, just take it. Take it immediately. That's going to save you a hell of a lot of time. And usually, again, market makers are not trying to fuck anybody. They're just trying to provide liquidity. So if it's a low spread, go take it. Don't sit there trying to gain a fucking 2 cents. Doesn't even make sense. Yeah, I'm gonna save 5 cents here. It's gonna be fucking perfect. You've been waiting all day to get that order filled. And the price has been going up and down. You have no idea which way it's going. Like, fuck that. Take the market maker order. I like the trading flat we have here. What are we doing? That's on the SPY. You can see the NASDAQ we've already whipped back up. I'm not sure what's happened on the other side. Pot stocks coming back up to the upside. We'll see how, those flip a coin, whether that continues with momentum or not today. Unsure. Square Inc. doing very well. PayPal. Again, charts that we were looking at come out of this low. They've really changed up the script down here and, something to take advantage of. Again, Snap, Twitter, Facebook, and then the travel trades. They're very similar ideas. I guess you can put the Chinese tickers look very similar, but obviously there's a little bit of a different risk in there, but they're kind of similar. Zoom coming off the low is, gonna be a sneaky one right there. We're back into the level over here, this big zone, the low 300s. I don't know. Some of these are gonna just jump off the page eventually. With earnings coming up, ugh. Who knows? Who knows? I don't think we have anything else. Looks like lunch can be pretty boring. I still believe we come right back up to the high. S&P is just trading flat. I mean, it doesn't really matter if the average does. Every other ticker's already whipped back up, but I do think S&P comes back up here. Trades on the trend line. NASDAQ is doing it, coming through. That was kind of... It's interesting. It's putting these very strong higher lows in, which It looks a little weird, to be honest with you. These candles right here, I don't know. It's definitely it's definitely not breaking that trend at least. So I mean that's good for the upside if you do that for the next 4 hours. These guys, I mean, yeah, these. I mean, momentum city on the pod stocks right now for sure. Hello retail. Yeah, look at you start to look at the other retail charts. They all look this. They all look the same. You bring up PLTR, that looks the same. Pot stocks look the same. Let's take a look at GME. That looks the same. AMC, that looks the same. Yeah. Hello retail. Welcome back. We knew you were coming. That's why we bought a week before. Also, by the way, this AMC move is fucking beautiful. I mean, taking this trade and then this little flaggy in here. Oh God, look at that. Oof. A very nice chart. Chart is just so much better than the others. It's so funny that people still are like hounding on GME when this chart is just 100 times better. I mean, it's not even close. I know they have a similar form to them, but this is just not even close. Not even close. Now, this is a nice trend in here, but again, this is just there is so much supply in here that it doesn't even matter what the percent is in here. It literally doesn't matter. This straight line is disgusting because it's a, not even a real straight line. But retail can be blowing these. Again, these are gonna be going up. These are all gonna be appreciating. Again, we've known right that retail was coming back, or at least I've said they are. I guess you don't have to believe me, but I guess not. Fine. Another interesting candle here. I don't know where this is, to be honest with you. The spread to the downside is very wide. It's definitely very wide. It's something to keep in mind here. I won't lie. It's definitely something to keep in mind. I don't know where that is though. We saw AMGN, but that's leveled out. I don't see um energy will not make the whole thing move, so energy's coming down. Crude moving. You can't see it on the future here, but it's delayed. Guess just energy. Again, energy's at a high. Oh, we'll see how this goes again. I've said this over and over. This is the area that we have more changes that happen quickly, which is why it's important that you stick with a long-term trade because you don't want to be exposed to the volatility of the oil market. This is definitely interesting here. Definitely be careful if you're in any of these positions that you bought on the low here. In terms of transitioning these, so again, we took up the big boys. X1 is about to get stopped out for me. EVX I still have. I'm just gonna keep holding it through. It doesn't really matter to me. Again, you're not gonna guess highs or anything like that, so not looking to transition those yet. Not until they get many more weeks on. I don't think that's energy though. That energy's down almost at percent 3/4, but I don't see the what do we have in here? Retail. I have no idea. Hmm. I don't know. I'm not seeing it, so I'm not seeing my average change at all. Just one of those weird intraday looking candles that's not really there. That's 14 basis points, so it is very small move, but it is a loss of momentum. So you'd think you'd see it, but you don't really see it. So if I were a day trader, I would be buying all of these candles on the downside right here for sure. Scalp this bad boy right up. I'll tell you what, in 5 candles from now, it's going to be at 419.50 on SPY. I'll tell you right now. 5 candles, 15-minuters. Little day trade. I don't think we have anything else. I have literally nothing to talk about. There's nothing to see. Everything happened instantly. I love those opens. All that bid comes in early. Oof. Now it erased it, but that doesn't so much matter. It matters that the bid came in. And we're seeing that lingering on most of our positions here. This is one of those weird ones where if you did not buy already, now it feels really weird because some of these options are higher right now on some of the charts that we're looking at right here. Again, not things that are down right now, but things are up. If you didn't buy at the open, things look fucking devastating in terms of trying to buy now because you think you're buying on the dip when you look at this chart on the average, but then your chart is up. That's a pain in the ass, which is again where this stuff starts to creep in. You get these weird spreads, volatility's up. Where we are. Let's take a break for lunch. Let's find out what happens here. I'm pretty sure you're going to be back up to the high by the end of the day. Whether or not we take profit at close like we did yesterday, it doesn't matter, right? It's just about where the bid comes in, because again, we're trending to the upside. The lows continue to get higher every single day. That's the thing that matters. But really, we want to see the highs because we're right at all time high, right? We're 0.5% from all time high. And so we want to see those highs come in, which we saw this morning. Let's see if we get some during lunch. The spread's pretty wide, so would be laying off the trigger if you're trying to buy something. Not a good time, just too wide. So I'll see you guys for close. Enjoy your lunch. Get some exercise. Drink some water. Do something. Take a nap. I don't care. I'll see you this afternoon.